Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and this is going to be part 2 of all the movies that I have that start with the word blood. So just get straight into it. First one is The Blood of Fu Manchu. So this is one of the Christopher Lee Fu Manchu movies. All these movies kind of meld into one with me, but I enjoy them all. I forget which one's which, but I find them all pretty entertaining. So yeah, pretty cool movie. Next one is a trauma film called Blood Oath. I actually have absolutely no recollection of what this one's like. I know I've watched it. I remember watching it. I remember the opening scene where this couple are killed in this car. But after that, I have no idea what goes on in this film. I need to rewatch this one because I cannot remember a single thing about it. Can't even remember if I liked it or not, which is rare. So yeah, sorry guys. Maybe you can let me know if that one's any good. Next up, we got Blood on Satan's Claw, which is this must be one of the first DVDs I think I ever bought. Come out in the early 2000s, the DVD that is, and I don't think I've watched it since then. I remember enjoying it, great movie, creepy film, that's for sure. But yeah, certainly one that I need to check out again because it's been many years since I've watched this one. Next up is Blood Paradise. This movie is a fantastic film, very underrated. I don't think I've ever heard anyone mention this film. Really great movie. It's about this woman, she's a struggling author, and her agent suggests her to go to like this rural retreat in like Switzerland or Sweden, somewhere like that. And she goes and she gets there, and it's just one of them things where you just know something's not quite right, and creepy things start happening, people start acting really weird, and it just gets worse and worse throughout the film. But really great film, highly recommend Blood Paradise. I've watched it a couple of times and really enjoyed it. Next up is Blood Rage from Arrow Video. Another fantastic slasher from the 80s. Very unique concept. Twin brothers, one of which kills this woman when he's a kid at the beginning of the film in a really cool, gruesome scene. He then blames his other brother, who gets sectioned to an asylum for many years. And then years later, I can't think if he breaks out or if he gets released, but one of the two, and then I think he breaks out and everyone's concerned that he's going to come back and start killing people, when in fact it was the other brother all along who is then killing people to try and get to his innocent brother, if that makes sense. I'm not giving anything away, it's not that complicated, but it is a fantastic film and has a really unique premise to it, which I really like the film for. So yeah, definitely check out Blood Rage. If you like your 80s slashers, this is a really good one to get. Next up is Blood Reaper, another slasher film. It takes place in the woods. Very low budget, but they have the sense to keep this one moving at a really good pace, so it never gets boring or never starts to drag or anything like that. So yeah, one that I really enjoyed. Next up is Blood Relations. This one's quite heavy on the drama. If I remember right, it's this woman, she marries into this family and they're all a bit weird, all a bit strange, and there's a bit about sort of experimenting on people at the end or something like that. It's a very slow burner. It's more like a Sunday afternoon drama for most of it, but there is some cool moments at the end. Next up is Blood Shack. Very low budget film from the 70s. I think it's only about an hour long. Takes place in this deserted area of desert. It's an old abandoned ranch possessed by an ancient sword-slashing Indian spirit known as the Chupa. So, as I say, very low budget, but I enjoyed it. This cover's got nothing to do with anything that goes on in the film. So if you're okay with very low budget stuff, give this one a try. It's only an hour long, so not got that long to sit through. Next up is the Blood Splattered Bride. A lot of these movies I struggle to remember what goes on in them, and Giallo films particularly. This is like a Giallo slasher type film. I remember enjoying it. It's a quite a peculiar one, but one that I did enjoy. Yeah, can't remember much else to say about that one. Next up is Blood Surf, the Killer Crocodile film. Not a good film, but one that has a lot of nostalgia for me. Came out in 2000, so back when I was a teenager, and I used to remember seeing this one a lot at the video store and thinking it was cool at the time. It's not bad. It has like an MTV style to it. This film crew are filming these people that are doing this new extreme sport called blood surfing, which is surfing amongst crocodile infested waters. So you can imagine the risk with that and where this film kind of leads to. But enjoyable, but a bit crappy at the same time. Next up we have Blood Theatre from Vinegar Syndrome. I think this one wins the award for the worst film I have that Vinegar Syndrome have released. Terrible film, unbelievably slow and boring. It's only like an hour and 5 minutes long, something like that, but it's the longest hour and 5 minutes I've ever seen. It feels more like a 2.5 hour long film, but nothing happens, absolutely nothing happens, and I kept thinking, surely they realised at the time that nothing is going on in this film, but I guess not. It's quite entertaining to watch with the director's commentary, because even he is struggling to say anything about the film, and I think a couple of times he does acknowledge the film is terrible. So yeah. Next up we have Blood Tide, James Earl Jones and Jose Ferrer. This is a pretty good film. If I remember right, it takes place on like a Greek island, and there's a creature killing people off. The only problem with this is you only see the creature right at the very end, and it's a fleeting shot of the monster, which is a shame because it looks really, really cool. I don't know why they didn't show it more. So I enjoyed the film, but very, very low on the creature feature side of things. Next up is Blood Tracks, which is a film I really, really enjoyed. This is a great film. If you imagine Hills Have Eyes, but instead of a family getting attacked by cannibals in the desert, it's a heavy metal band being attacked by cannibals in these snowy Alp mountains. Really good stuff. I don't usually double dip on films, but this really needs a decent release by somebody, because the quality of this is terrible. The picture quality is awful, and the audio doesn't even sync up either, and gets progressively worse throughout the film. But the movie itself, Blood Tracks, is fantastic. Really cool film. Next up is the Bloodstained Butterfly, another Italian Giallo film. Again, I don't remember too much about this one, but I do remember enjoying it. It's got a very interesting storyline. Yeah, and I just can't remember much about what goes on. Sorry, I know that doesn't sound great, but got no problem with the film itself. Next up is the Bloodstained Shadow, another Italian one. This one I liked. I haven't watched it all. Nothing against the film. I had to go and do something, so I need to get back on this one and keep watching it, because what I did see I enjoyed. Next up is Bloodsuckers. This is just 3 films. It's Nosferatu, Dead Men Walk, and Chain of Souls. Never actually watched any of them on this. I've seen Nosferatu, haven't ever seen Dead Men Walk or Chain of Souls. No, Nosferatu I actually have on its own release, but I think I just picked this up because I thought it looked cool. So yeah. And then we've got Bloodsuckers from Outer Space, one of my favourite releases from Vinegar Syndrome. I really like this film. Low budget, not to be taken seriously, kind of a horror sci-fi comedy about these sorts of aliens that turn people into zombies, if I remember correctly. But really good film. Love this film. Really happy to have this release. Then we've got the Bloodthirsty trilogy. So this was like Japanese films doing Hammer horror, if that makes sense. So you've got The Vampire Doll, Lake of Dracula, and Evil of Dracula. I really enjoyed Vampire Doll. Didn't enjoy Lake of Dracula so much. Still need to watch Evil of Dracula. So yeah, kind of I'm 50-50 on these. Really enjoyed the first one. Need to see the third one just to sort of see what that one's like. But interesting films nonetheless. And then we've got from Severin, Bloody Birthday. This is a good film. This one's a really creepy one. I think because it's killer kids. It gets under your skin a little bit. But really good film. I recommend this one. Decent slasher film and has a really, really kind of shocking sort of downbeat ending as well. So yeah, one to definitely check out. Next one is Bloody Homecoming. This one gets a lot of hate, but I enjoyed this one. I like the slasher elements to it. I like the setting at the prom and the high school. So yeah, I got a lot of enjoyment from this one. Like I say, a lot of people really hate on this one, but I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. Next one we have The Bloody Judge with Christopher Lee. I think Jess Franco directs it. Don't remember too much about it. I think it was okay-ish, but I wasn't all that impressed. I'm not the biggest Jess Franco fan, and this one was kind of nah. So, and then we have another Jess Franco, Bloody Moon. This one I do really like. Jess Franco's lurid, sleazy slasher film. Quite different, I think, for Jess, but probably my favourite movie by him that he's done. Really love this one. Great sort of little slasher movie from the 80s. Yeah, check that one out. And the last one from Vinegar Syndrome is Bloody New Year, which I really like this one. From, I think it's Norman J. Warren that did this one, if I remember right. Yeah. And from what I heard, 3/4 of the way through, they kind of just threw their arms up and gave up on this film. Not necessarily in a bad way either, because it just gets really crazy and irreverent and things like that. But I had a lot of fun watching this one. It was a surprisingly good watch, and it's yeah, it starts out like a bit of a haunted house type film, and then goes sort of full on Evil Dead craziness and things like that. There's all sorts going on in this film. Highly recommend checking this one out if you can find a copy. So that's all of them. That's all the blood and bloody and bloodthirsty and bloodsucker titles that I've got. Thank you for watching that. Let me know which ones you like and which ones you don't like, and let me know if there's more blood titles that I should pick up. I'd love to get some more to add to those. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.